put something in your pocket.
I reject all scandalous claims. Those are vile, utterly insincere insinuations.
You should have done it on screen so I could resort to them and have them testify against you.
I'm not.
But you could have been. It would have made this so much easier to incriminate you.
Kian, I am incompetent without the IN.
Nah.
Hello, ladies! Today, we have a book for you.
Yes, a very fancy. Okay, it's not too fancy, it's grim.
Depressing.
Stop.
Book.
Maybe a little.
It's a book about the grime and the poverty and the starvation of medieval families. Not bowed, but that's like 65% of the books.
Only one of the characters is hungry.
Half!
And it's like, it's less the character and the peasants are hungry, and more just the character.
The starvation and the poverty is the only driving force of the book, besides, the whole persecution nonsense.
Yeah, but I always attributed her filth and hunger to poor parentage.
Everybody was poor back then. Everybody in the village was poor, because even her aunt was poor.
Yeah, but it was always more attributed to her deadbeat father.
Everybody was poor back then.
Yeah, but everybody was poor with food. She was poor without food.
Everybody was starving.
But they were less starving than she was.
That's like saying less dead. You're
less
still
dead is very important.
No. Dead is dead is dead.
Unless you're less dead. And then it's only kind of dead.
Dead is lead. Dead. I think you need to get to the synopsis before you spoil everything again.
You was the one who took us down that little...
Yeah, no, you spoiled everything in the wake up. I had nothing to do with that. It was all
we
your
didn't
fault.
Spoil the wake up. The only book we spoiled
You
is...
totally spoiled the wake up. You know that whole romantic subplot?
Oh, okay. I see what's going on here. Did you actually read the correct synopsis this time?
I've always read the correct synopsis. It's just there was subterfuge and sabotage.
To be honest, though, I'm not...
The author changed the story on me. I was helpless against it.
To be honest, I'm not entirely sure reading the synopsis or not reading the synopsis would have... The synopsis is a little wiki. Or a little shifty.
I don't think
Trolls, shapeshifters, fairy people. Discover the magic. Well, the last bit was a bit kind
of counterintuitive to what the book is really about.
But it also feels like a Disney World ad.
Exactly! The book's not at all even remotely Disney.
It's not even happy.
Yeah, it's quite anti-happy. It's not quite grim dark, but
Trolls don't even show up in the book. It's bad advertising. Or it's not bad. It's misadvertising or
some such word that means treasonous writing.
Yeah. Off with their heads. Woo.
Off with his head.
Two young people with a curse grow up amid the chaos of a world where the tainted are outlawed and blamed for illness, crime, and poverty.
You see nothing?
I see nothing.
See, he's blind as a bat. Never trust any of his eyewitness statements.
I feel that's a very dangerous precedent to set. Catherine, the gravedigger's daughter, learns to survive on theft and manipulation. When she steals from the wrong man, she has to suffer the consequences. But the tables turn when she finds 3 books of magic in an old castle ruin that seems to come alive whenever she steps through the gates. On the other side of the northern forest, a secret community known as the Fair takes in a refugee boy from the Sudlands. Lorcan's magic abilities surpass all others, but the lad's father brings tragedy upon the safe haven. Murder and betrayal shape the lives of both Catherine and Lorcan as they become adults, and their fates are linked in more ways than one. On the surface, it's not that terrible, but I could pick this thing apart with just all the little inconsistencies in there.
Yeah, I didn't realize it the first time I reflected on the synopsis, but yeah, she kind of does mess with the timeline a little bit.
You know what's worse? Okay, so we'll dissect this and get really mean for a little bit because it's nice to be evil.
I don't want to be evil. I'm the nice guy.
Well, you can.
I'm a ray of sunlight piercing your vile villainy. Your vitriolic, vile villainy.
You'd be that. Just try to reject my statements.
You may continue. I am purifying you.
Good luck with that.
I cleaned him of a hair. My duty is done.
I did that!
I made you do that.
No, you took credit for something you had no part in. So, the first paragraph. 2 young people with the curse grow up amid the chaos. Yada, yada, yada. I already read it. I have minor qualms with calling it a curse and the tainted in the synopsis because that's how the world views the magic system. That's not actually what the magic system is called and what the people call themselves.
Yeah, it's a typical church persecuting magic world.
Right. It's like at the same time it's kind of hard to argue with that paragraph, but still it feels a little wonky to call.
I don't know because it's a common trope to call magic a curse.
No, no. Tainted, yes. A curse, less so.
No, I would think more curse. Tainted generally used more literally. Because curse is...
But a lot of times, it's like, those who have magic are considered unclean. Because I find it a little hard to... I think this might be a less than profitable argument.
I would agree.
But the next paragraph, this is where we really get weird. Catherine, the great digger's daughter, learns to survive on theft and manipulation. She really doesn't do too much manipulating. She doesn't interact with anybody throughout the entire book. And certainly not enough to manipulate them. There is no chit-chat. She does not.
I don't find that as much because she's constantly shown to be very much aware of why people do things.
Yeah, but she never applies that knowledge, so it's...
Yeah. Not aggressively. She's not the next Machiavelli, but...
She doesn't use it at all. At best, she uses it to skip town when things are getting dangerous with any... Or not town, but, escape danger a little bit.
It's more of a tone, because she is shown to be very... I don't know what the word is.
Perceptive.
Perceptive, yeah. A little... Not perspicacious.
No, perceptive is a pretty good word.
I know. I wasn't thinking perspicacious in that sense.
You should teach that necklace some manners.
I would, but it's the prop, so...
And so, in the next paragraph, when she steals from the wrong man, she has to suffer the consequences, but the tables turn when she finds 3 magic books. She only finds 2 magic books!
Oof.
And she finds them before she meets this one man who she steals from.
Yeah.
Which is a pretty big...
Yes.
And it's like, the books aren't really a game changer. The consequences happen solely because she found the books. And the consequences are a payment made in order so she can utilize the books. The books do absolutely nothing throughout the story for her.
Yeah.
That said, that's like the only really, really, really big one. It is a bit of a deception to call Lorcan the secondary main character, because there's really three main characters, and Lorcan Lorcan only has only really takes presence in the book in the last in the third quarter. Because it's like, he has this quarter of a book, or it's like, it's somewhere between half and end, right? And that's where he starts looking through his eyes, and then at the 3/4 mark, he just disappears. He leaves the story. So it's kind of hard to consider him a main character. So like, the story is setting him up to be one.
Yeah. And you'll notice that I'm not really complaining about him spoiling anything. Because, and this is my one huge complaint about the book, the synopsis spoils everything. You see how, you remember how in the synopsis, how they said how the main character dies? Or how Lorcan's father killed somebody that ruins the sanctuary? That's the climax of this book.
Continue. I have points on that, but continue.
Every major event in this book, her finding the books, her becoming the service guide, the magic circus being destroyed.
It's not a synopsis, it serves as a roadmap to the story.
And that took a lot of the fun out of reading it. There's like, I was expecting like this, okay, so she's going to kill the book. They're going to kill the one master halfway through the book, and then the next half of the book is going to be where the story begins. It doesn't. And so the book tells you nothing new from what the synopsis does.
Yeah. So now my point on the climax is that it's kind of the same thing as, it's a little different than you. I did not read the synopsis before reading the book, so I did not have his problem. I don't really have any major, like, grandiose, horrible problems with the book. I have a lot of, or I don't have a lot, but I have a few. One of the major ones is the fact that the book didn't really feel like it had a climax to it. There was no slow build-up. I mean, the book spoils one of the characters' deaths, but that happens shortly after the midway point, or 3/4 of the way, and it's not it's hardly a climax because it spawns the events of the last quarter of the book.
I consider it a climax because it's the culmination of that part of the story. Like, nothing else happens in that part of the story, because once that happens, all the main characters in that location of the story go off their own ways. One of them completely disappears, and the other one does nothing somewhere else.
Right, so it's like, it would have served as a climax if it actually took part at the end of the book.
It's a climax, so it's the climax of that part of the story. Just because it doesn't happen at the end.
You have, like, okay, so you don't have any major climaxes. You have one or two kind of medium climaxes that are just kind of wrapping off the It's not a climax to the story, it's a climax to the characters.
To that part of the story, that section of the story.
No, the one, okay, so, let's just go waist deep into spoiler territory.
No! There is a very few things in this book that are not spoiled. We will preserve their secrecy.
Okay.
They will be cleansed.
The character that dies, can we tell him who he is?
You may use the first two letters of his last name.
Okay. He's a bigwig sorcerer. Lightning bolts and
He's not a lightning bolt.
I know. I want to flail around too. So okay, flailing down. His death was served as partial necessity, and his dying kind of tied up the first stages for like 3 characters. And so I forgot where I was going with this. Whatever. No real climax. But
I really enjoyed the first part of the story, though. I like the wildling child, the perspective silent.
Yeah.
I like that archetype, and it does really well.
it's one of the things that the book did really well is it made the main character, because she consumes the lion part of the story, slightly other. And that comes across really well.
And the poverty of the book is handled really well as well.
Yeah, and the story, as I think about it, is probably seeding future plot points relatively well, because one of the ways magic users identify each other is certain members of their society can see silver rings around the irises, right? And normal humans can't see this, but like obviously certain magic users can't. But the main character does not have this silver ring, and right now you don't know if it's because she doesn't have it, or the person looking at her can't see them.
Well, we know he can't see them.
Right, so that's a bit of that's muddying the water a little bit, but it's also setting the stage for her to be not actually what you expect. Might not be the typical magic, because
I would expect that to be the case, just because she's the main character. But there's also the book alludes to the fact that she's just the same as Lorcan. At one point.
The book or the synopsis?
The book. It's not clear cut and conveyed as definite, but it is indicated.
Okay, so it's juggling it a little bit. You don't know if she's going to be a fae or just a human wizard per se. And it's not really human wizard, but so it's seeding the future books. It's laying seeds for the future books that may or may not sprout depending on how much fortune telling abilities you have. Ooh.
I found the prose quite solid. Not amazing and like gorgeous, but just pretty much
above par. There were a few times where the author, I'm gonna say, went heavy-handed. Got a little heavy-handed at times, but a lot of the times, various points throughout the book that also worked to the book's benefit.
Yeah, good balance of description. It didn't. A good selection of words, well-structured sentences, just like all that stuff. So it's not as an exceptionally beautiful prose, but just solid and interesting to read throughout.
Yep.
The next criticism I have is that the story kind of felt like it lost its way a little bit through the middle of part.
I don't know, because
it's just
there was a clear direction throughout. Every character was clearly going somewhere, and it's like the detours you took were.
Well, but that's the thing, is that her story in particular, like after she joins and starts working for him,
yeah,
you have 5-6 chapters checking up on her where very little happens. It's just checkup chapters. And on the other side, at the circus, again, it's more of like this is here, but nothing's really happening. Like stuff happens, but it's not. It's more of just like a gradual build up towards the point. It's not boring. It's just nothing happens. Her like aggressively nothing happens.
This gets like so bad that bad is a really strong word. But so like he said, you have 5 or so chapters where nothing happens, and then she just absolutely drops off the face of the earth for the next quarter of the book while you really get it kind of get into the fair storyline.
Which didn't bother me.
It didn't bother me.
I wish it had happened sooner.
Yeah, but it and the so this is not, that wasn't a problem, not by any stretch. It's just showing you how little is happening in her storyline, and it's largely a result of her. Because the character's really young, so it's like you
need time to pass
so that she can grow up enough.
Mm-hmm.
And like the growing up part is like my main. Okay, so this is not a Okay, so this is tying in back into lack of a climax, and it's less that there's lack of a climax, and it's more of that all the stories wrap up. So, but at the same time, the story's not done, because nothing of the world itself has been resolved. right? So what the book actually feels like to me by the end of reading it is it feels like a prequel. It's all it's doing is
setting up for the next step.
But it's not even doing that. It's not setting up the story, it's setting up the characters. Because you don't really you get a glimpse of the world and the future story of the world. A mere glimpse. Like, half a chapter. After that, you don't meet the end bad guy. You don't meet any particularly notable villains. You're not really, you don't encounter the Inquisition at all. It's like, everybody's... You hear about the Inquisition, how it's hunting down these magic users frequently, but you never feel their pressure levied upon the characters of the story, which is slightly disappointing. And it's not incredibly egregious because it's still there. You still feel the presence a little. It's just a lot of the hunted feeling doesn't come across because the main characters never interact. They don't even meet somebody who does. It's like, you hear about this one event, but that's 2 or 3 people removed.
I think you went in a little too much detail there without any result. I was nodding off.
You needed to sleep anyway.
But I couldn't sleep. We're on camera. I think I've conveyed pretty much everything I've felt about the book.
Once again, I think there's like one other thing I wanted to talk about. I bring so many subjects to the table, and then I just get distracted by your subjects. It's most irregular on your part. Wait. Did y'all see my new duds? Aren't they cool?
You look like a clown.
No, I look like a hot rod car. They're practically lightning bolts. Should have been more pink though. The green and blue do detract a little from the swag factor.
Can I show on the other side too?
No, it's the exact same. That's pink though. Yeah, spinning. Of course, a little.
Fast as lightning.
Yeah.
Zoom.
I think it's just a
signing off.
I remember what else can talk about, but it's...
We can't now, we've signed out.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not going to talk about it because it's...
boring. Unimportant. Wishful thinking. Sacrilegious.
I'm
redundant.
Gonna say nitpicky.
Well, it is time for us to disappear. If you like our work, subscribe.
Or punish your enemies if you disliked it. Terribly.
Yeah. Share it. Make merry with this video. Spread it instead of Christmas gifts. Save a bundle.
Yeah.
This is our gift to you, saving you money. Like a bad car salesman.
Fairly well, our future friends. So it's like, we probably should have made mention of the fact that even as we tore it apart, it's like the book was fairly decent.
Yeah, I would have probably rated it about 4 stars.
3 3/4.